Hey everybody, I'm Rebecca and thank you for joining me today for this brief Ashtanga inspired Vinyasa yoga class. In this class, we'll be exploring some of the poses from the Ashtanga half primary sequence with some modifications. Ashtanga can be a very physical form of yoga with lots of vinyasa, so please be sure to take a down dog or skip those altogether if they don't work for you. I'll be using a couple of blocks and a strap for this practice. So take just a moment, gather what you need, and I'll see you on the mat.
We're going to jump right in today, coming to the top of the mat and standing and beginning with 3 deep breaths together. So come to your mountain pose or Samasthiti, and we'll begin with a deep breath. Inhaling all the way down into the belly. Last breath. Beginning now to warm up the body with some sun salutations. We'll begin with sun salutation A. Inhaling the arms up overhead. Exhale, dropping into forward fold. Inhaling up halfway. Exhale into the fold. Stepping back to plank on the inhale. And exhale, pulling the elbows in, coming down through your chaturanga. Lowering all the way to the floor and inhaling up to baby cobra. Exhale, turning the toes under, shifting back, downward facing dog. And the knees, take the gaze forward, walk or hop to the top of the mat. Inhaling up halfway. Exhale, fold. Inhale all the way up to stand, the flat back. Hands come to meet overhead, and then exhale all the way back down, forward fold. Inhaling up halfway, moving with the breath here. Exhale, forward fold, planting both hands, inhaling back to plank. And then exhaling, pulling those elbows into the side body, maybe hovering a little above the ground, and sweeping up to up dog or baby cobra or cobra, rolling the toes under, downward facing dog. Bending the knees, shifting the gaze forward, walk or hop to the top of the mat, inhaling up halfway. Exhale, release. One more time here, inhaling up all the way. Hands come to meet overhead. Exhaling all the way down through heart center, forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, release. Planting both hands, stepping back. Inhale here. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhaling up to up dog, baby cobra. Exhale, maybe rolling over the toes. Coming back, downward facing dog. Bend the knees, shift the gaze forward, walk or hop to the top of your mat. Inhaling up halfway. Exhale, release. Inhale, arms come up overhead, hands come to meet. Exhaling down to heart center. Take a moment here for a deep breath. And now we'll come into Surya Namaskara B. Inhaling the arms up overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, planting the hands, stepping the feet back. And coming through your chaturanga, pulling the front body to the back body. Inhaling up, down, up dog or cobra. Rolling over the toes, downward facing dog. Now turning the left foot out slightly, we'll inhale the right foot forward. Coming up to warrior one, pressing forward through the left hip. Inhale to grow tall here. Exhale, hands come back down to the mat. Planting the hands, coming back to plank. and coming through your vinyasa. Now turning the right toes out at an angle, we'll inhale the left foot forward. Coming up to warrior one on this side, pressing forward through the right hip. Inhale to grow tall. Exhale, releasing down to the floor. Stepping the feet back. Vinyasa. And now bending the knees, shifting the gaze forward. Walk or hop to the top of the mat. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, release. Inhale all the way up to stand. Hands come all the way down through heart center, coming back, forward fold. You got this, stick with it. Inhaling up halfway. Exhale, release. Stepping both feet back and coming through your vinyasa. Remember, you can always come straight to downward facing dog if that works better for you. And turning those right toes out, inhaling the left foot forward, rising up, warrior one. Inhaling to grow tall, exhale, release the hands down to the floor, coming back to plank, coming straight to down dog, or through your vinyasa. Turning the left toes out at an angle, inhaling the right foot forward, inhaling up, warrior one. Inhale, grow tall, exhale, hands come down to the floor, and come through your vinyasa. Bending the knees, generously taking the gaze forward, step or hop to the top of your mat, inhaling up halfway. Exhale, release, and inhale all the way up to stand with a flat back. One last time here, hands come to meet overhead, exhaling all the way back down. Forward fold. Heart should be pumping here, should be building heat in the body. Exhale, forward fold, planting the hands, stepping back, coming through your vinyasa. Rolling over the toes, exhale, downward facing dog. Turning the left toes out slightly, inhaling the right leg forward. Coming up, warrior one. Inhale, grow tall, exhale, hands melt down. Into plank. Coming forward on the toes, exhale, all the way down. Inhale up, cobra or baby cobra, up dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Left toes turn out slightly now, inhaling right leg forward. And if you lose your balance, that's okay, just come back. Inhale up, warrior one. Fingers grow tall, deep breath, exhale, hands are coming down to the mat, coming back to plank. Exhale. And inhale up into your cobra, baby cobra, up dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Bending the knees, taking the gaze forward, up or step to the top of your mat. Inhaling up halfway. Exhale, release. Inhale all the way up to stand with a flat back. Hands come to heart center. Pressing the thumbs into the chest here. Just notice your heart beating. Taking a couple of nice deep breaths. Keeping that little micro bend in the knees. And then from here, we'll let the fingertips drift down to reach up overhead. Hands come up overhead, reaching up through the fingertips. Exhale all the way down through heart center. Coming into forward fold now, keeping those knees as bent as you need for them to be. And maybe taking the peace fingers around the big toes, pulling the elbows out to the side, coming into Dandasana, or hand to big toe pose, allowing the top of the head to relax down towards the mat. Keeping those elbows moving out to the side. Remember, moving towards sensation, but not pain. And then release the big toes, grounding down into the feet here, taking one hand over each bent knee or bringing the hands to the hip crease. Inhale up to stand with a flat back. We'll come to a wide stance on the mat now. And we're going to turn out through the left foot, turning inward slightly through the right foot. Inhaling the arms up halfway and aligning the heel of the front foot with the arch of the back foot. Pulling the belly button in and up. We'll shift the hips over to the side, coming into triangle pose. And here, if you have a block and you'd like to bring that in for your practice, you can do that now. And really imagine here that this bottom hip is moving forward, maybe reaching down and peeling the rib cage, the lower ribs up towards the ceiling, taking the gaze up towards the thumb or perhaps out straight. Pressing into the feet here, we'll inhale to come all the way back up from this pose. Exhale, hands come down, feet come around. We're going to turn out through those right toes now. You can bring that block in if you like, turning the left toes at a bit of an angle. Inhaling, arms come up halfway. We'll shift the hips over to the side and come into triangle on this side. Remembering that it's far less important here how far down you go than it is how your alignment is. See if you can pull that bottom hip forward. Once again, maybe smearing those ribs up towards the ceiling, reaching the fingertips out. Pressing into the outside edges of the feet. Deep breath. Engaging everything, rising up from this pose. Exhale, hands come down. Switching to the other side, once again, we're going to allow all 10 toes to face forward this time as we come into pyramid pose. So keeping this front leg straight, but not locked out, maybe a little micro bend in the knees. We'll inhale the arms up overhead and exhale as we bring the hands around behind, maybe bumping those fists together, or perhaps coming into a reverse namaskara if that's part of your practice. Pressing the left hip forward here, or the back hip forward, pulling back on the front hip. We'll exhale, coming over the front leg, using that big toe as the focal point for this pose. Continuing to pull back through that front hip. Moving the shoulder blades towards each other like you might squeeze a pencil in between the shoulder blades. And then with a nice flat back, inhaling up to stand. Shifting the feet around to the other side, releasing the arms. And coming into pyramid pose on the other side. So all 10 toes facing forward. Inhale the arms up overhead. Exhale, hands come around behind, maybe bumping those fists together. And moving the shoulder blades back. Exhale forward over the front leg. Taking the gaze to the big toe. Deep breaths here, coming back to the breath. And then when you're ready, inhaling all the way back up. We'll bring the back foot to the front, coming to the top of the mat in equal standing pose or samastitihi. Taking a deep breath here. And then setting up for our tree pose. So bringing the weight into one foot, doesn't matter which foot. We'll take the other foot, turning it out to the side slightly, and you can bring that foot up anywhere on the leg that you like. Maybe you bring it up to the calf, maybe to the inner thigh. Maybe you even come into a half lotus balance here. And once you've found your way into the pose that suits you, allow the arms to do whatever you like. Maybe keeping them at heart center or reaching the arms up overhead. And just bringing some awareness into that lifted hip, allowing it to sink down. And then when you're ready, hands come back to heart center, bringing that leg back around in front. And exhale, bringing the leg down to the mat. Take a moment here to shake it out. And then taking the weight into the other leg, turning out through the other foot, bringing those toes to the mat. And then allowing that leg to come up anywhere you like. And maybe you bring the leg up to the same place, or maybe it's different on this side. Just allow it to be however it is. Finding the positioning of your arms, dropping that elevated hip. And then when you're ready, hands come down through heart center. Letting that foot rise up, pelvis come to equalize, and exhale that foot all the way down to the floor. Coming back to our Samastitihi, equal standing pose. And inhale, arms come up overhead. Exhale, all the way down, forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, release, planting the hands, stepping back to plank or half plank. And if you choose to float back here, remember not to jump back into a plank pose, because that's very hard on the shoulders. So if you do choose to float back, make sure you're coming into your hovering push-up. Inhale up to cobra, baby cobra, or up dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale forward to plank here, bringing those elbows into the side body and exhaling all the way down to the floor. And allowing the belly to relax on the floor here. We'll bring the forehead to the floor, reaching the hands along beside the body and bringing the big toes together here. We'll take the hands and interlace them behind the tailbone, pressing the palms of the hands together and then pressing down and away. Then on your next inhale, inhaling up to locust pose. Moving those shoulder blades back, keeping the gaze focused on the floor and remembering that this pose is most challenging as you bring the arches of the feet together. One more breath here and release. Nice big deep breath. And then your choice in the next pose, you can come back to locust pose. Or if you like, you can reach back both ankles, flexing through the feet here, and then inhaling up to bow pose. Few breaths here. Good. Let that relax and release, bringing the hands underneath the forehead for a moment of rest in crocodile. And now from your crocodile, bringing the hands back beside the chest, pressing into the tops of both feet and inhaling up here to up dog or maybe cobra. Rolling the toes under, exhale, downward facing dog. And from here, we're going to come down to the knees, walking the hands up towards the body here as you come. And we'll come all the way up to the knees here for a little back bend. If you can inhale the arms up overhead, exhale, bringing those hands down to the base of the spine on either side, top of those hip bones, pressing forward slightly, bringing the elbows back. You can stay in this shape, or if you like, you can turn the toes under, perhaps bringing a block to the heels, or maybe not, and coming into camel pose, reaching back for the block or for your heels, opening the chest, perhaps keeping the chin tucked to protect those little bones in the back of the neck. And then whichever back bend you've chosen here, just release one hand up, reaching up through the fingertips. Exhale, allowing that hand to swim back around behind, switching arms here, inhaling up on the other arm. Exhale, that hand swims back around. And then inhale to release, shifting that block out of the way if you have it, and coming down into a child's pose. Now riding the breath up from your child's pose, turning those toes under, coming back into your plank pose, pulling that front body into the back body. And then rolling forward on those toes, exhaling down to your chaturanga. Hold it here for 1, 2, 3, and then inhale up, cobra, baby cobra, or up dog. Rolling the toes under, coming back, downward facing dog. And then your choice here, you can drop the knees to the mat, moving the feet out to one side, or you can walk the feet closer, just slightly crossing the ankles and rolling yourself back into a seated position at the back of the mat. From here, we're going to extend the legs out long into Dandasana, maybe pulling the flesh out from underneath the sits bones, pulling the toes back towards the face. Coming into a Dandasana forward fold here, you can either inhale the arms up overhead and extend over the legs from the center of the chest, or if you like to use a strap, bringing the strap around the balls of the feet, inhaling to allow the spine to grow nice and tall, and then exhale, lengthening out over the legs. Imagining the back continuing to stay nice and straight here. Pulling those elbows back. Neck is nice and soft. Nice deep breath here. Exhale, release into this fold just a little more. And then inhale all the way back up to release. Getting rid of that strap, but keeping it handy. We'll pull the right knee into the chest here, keeping that left foot active, pulling the toes back towards the face, and then allow that right foot to come to the inside of the left thigh. We're going to turn the belly button towards the knee here. And again, you can grab your strap if you like. Bringing that strap around the ball of the foot, or inhaling the arms up overhead, and then exhaling to lengthen out over the left leg. Allow your gaze to soften here, and you might even allow the body to naturally rise and fall with the breath. Inhaling to release slightly, exhaling to deepen. Good. Inhaling all the way up now. We'll switch legs, extending the right leg out long, bringing the left leg into the chest, and then allowing the left sole of the foot to find the inside of the right leg. Inhaling the arms up overhead, or taking that strap around the ball of the foot, turning the belly button towards the knee here, and then exhaling, lengthening out over the leg. So sometimes you'll see people stretching and they'll be dropping the head and rounding the back here. And certainly you can go much deeper that way. But we're keeping the spine nice and straight here, extending and lengthening out of the pelvis over the leg. And allow yourself to release from the pose, extending that left leg out nice and long. Once again, we're going to bring the right knee into the chest, and you can move your strap out of the way here if you like. A couple choices here. We're coming into Marichyasana. So often when we do Marichyasana, we inhale, open that opposite arm and take the arm around the leg. You can certainly follow that today. If you like to try something just a little different, inhale that left arm up and exhale, bringing the left elbow to the outside of the right leg, then sweeping the arm around behind. Keeping those fingers tented, coming to the fingertips, or if you're dropping to the palm, moving the palm close to the body here. Looking out over that right shoulder, left foot is staying nice and flexed. Exhale to release. We'll allow that leg to extend out long. Now bringing the left leg into the body and choosing your variation here. If you like, bringing that arm around or inhaling the right arm up, exhaling to bring the right elbow to the outside of the left leg and sweeping the left arm around behind. Bringing some awareness to that right foot, pulling the toes back towards the face. Turning into this twist only as much as is comfortable and only as much as your body allows. Exhale to release. We'll scoot forward on the mat just a little here and come briefly into boat pose. So bringing both soles of the feet to the floor, hands come along behind the knees, rolling the shoulders onto the back, and then allowing those feet to rise from the floor. You can stay here in your supported bridge, or you can release the hands, maybe even extending the legs out forward, welcoming that little shake and tremble if it comes. And from here, you can either lower the feet to the floor, or if your back will allow, begin to come slowly into low boat until you release all the way back down to the floor. You need to rearrange yourself on your mat slightly, so take a moment to do that if you need to. And then we'll bring both soles of the feet to the floor, bringing the palms next to the hips, making sure all 10 toes are pointing forward, knees are tracking right over those toes, and then engaging the thighs towards each other. We'll inhale to bring the pelvis up, coming into bridge pose. If you like, you can walk those shoulder blades underneath the back, interlacing the fingers and pressing those hips up just a little higher. Remembering here, we're releasing the chin towards the ceiling and lifting the chest towards the chin, allowing ourselves to have plenty of room to breathe. Exhale to release the fingertips, gliding down one vertebra at a time. Good. Allow the spine to release down onto the floor. We'll take a couple of breaths here, and then you can choose if you'd like to come back into your bridge pose, or if you have wheel pose in your practice, you can bring that in now. If you do choose to do that wheel pose, make sure that all 10 toes and all 10 fingers are pointing forward. And then when you're ready, having chosen where you're going to go from here, once again, we'll inhale the hips up or come into your wheel pose. I'm having some challenges with one shoulder today, so no wheel pose for me. Breathing nice and deep here. Remembering to engage the thighs in towards each other. One more breath. Good. Releasing all the fingers. Exhale all the way down to the mat. Bringing the knees into the chest here. We'll roll a little from side to side, and then you can roll all the way to one side, pressing yourself up to seated. Or if you like, you can take the hands behind the knees, rolling back up into a Dandasana. We'll take one more Dandasana forward fold here. So you can choose to use your strap or not. Taking that strap around the balls of the feet, inhaling the arms up overhead, and then exhale, lengthening out over the legs. Maybe making this dynamic. Inhale to release, exhale, fold. And now inhale to release up all the way. We'll take the hands back behind the hips, all 10 fingers facing forward, bringing the arches of the feet together, pointing out through the toes, and then pressing into the palms here, lifting the hips from the ceiling, allowing the chin to rise. You can extend the neck as much as feels comfortable here, but being careful not to compress those little bones in the back of the neck unless that feels very comfortable for you. Exhale, releasing from this pose, coming all the way down, pulling the toes forward and then sinking forward once again, any amount. Inhale to release, shifting all the way down to the back now. Extending the legs out nice and long. We're going to bring the hands underneath the tail here. And then pulling those elbows in towards the body and pressing into the elbows. Allow the head to extend back, not putting any pressure into the top of the head here, but just coming into this little gentle back bend fish pose. Pressing into the elbows here, releasing the top of the head. We'll bring the hands out from underneath the hips, bringing the knees into the chest for one last roll out here. And then hugging the left knee into the chest will allow the right leg to extend out long, taking that left arm out to the side and allowing the left knee to drop over to the right, shifting the gaze over the left shoulder. And if you need a little support here, you can always bring a block underneath that front knee. No need to struggle, just enjoying this twist. Inhaling to bring that left knee back to the chest, followed by the right knee, and then extending out long through the left leg. We'll bring that right arm out, allowing the right knee to fall over to the side, shifting the gaze over the left shoulder. And then inhaling the right knee back to the chest, rolling out through that lower back one last time. And extending the legs out nice and long, coming into Shavasana. Now take a nice deep breath, wiggling your fingers and toes, allowing your eyelids to gently flutter open if you like, inhaling your arms up overhead and rolling to one side, cradling your head on your arm for just a moment, and then pressing yourself back up to a seated position. Give yourself some credit for showing up here on your mat today for this yoga practice. I am ever grateful to you for coming and joining me in your practice. And I hope that your yoga follows you off the mat.